The alien's hand trembled against the viewport as her ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. Lightning cracked across the sky, and the hull groaned under forces that would have crushed any vessel from the Galactic Council. "There are no men left on this planet," she whispered, her violet eyes wide with disbelief. Captain Jake Morrison didn't look up from the wreckage. His hands worked methodically through twisted metal and scorched debris, pulling survivors from what remained of the downed freighter. Blood streaked his face. His uniform hung in tatters. The storm hammered down around him, but he kept moving. The alien woman, Sarah, stepped from her craft onto soil that radiated heat like a furnace. Her scanner shrieked warnings. Toxic atmosphere. Lethal radiation levels. Gravitational stress beyond survivable parameters. She had studied this world from orbit for 3 cycles, watching its cities burn, its continents split, its oceans boil. The war had ended 6 months ago. The Krill invasion fleet had glassed 70% of the surface before humanity's desperate counterattack had driven them back. Every military analyst in the galaxy had declared Earth uninhabitable. The evacuation window had closed. The survivors were supposed to be dead. "You shouldn't be here," Jake said without turning. He heaved a steel beam aside with his bare hands. Sarah's scanner confirmed the weight. 2 tons. Impossible. "Neither should you," she replied. "My readings show your readings are wrong." He pulled a woman from the wreckage, checked her pulse, and shouted toward a makeshift medical station. 3 humans ran through rain that sizzled against their skin. They grabbed the survivor and sprinted back. Sarah's legs wouldn't move. Her species had evolved on a paradise world. Gravity at 0.7 standard. Atmosphere thick with oxygen. Temperature controlled by orbital mirrors. She was considered hardy among her people because she could tolerate 0.9 gravity for short periods. This man was lifting structural steel in 1.2 gravity. In toxic air during an electrical storm, on a planet that registered as a Class 9 hazard zone. "How many?" she asked. 17 so far. 2 more trapped below. He dropped into the wreckage without hesitation. Metal groaned. Something exploded in the distance. He kept digging. Sarah activated her emergency beacon. Superiors would demand an explanation. She was supposed to be confirming extinction, collecting data on atmospheric degradation, documenting the end of a failed species. Instead, she was watching a human work in conditions that would kill her in minutes. "There are no men left on this planet," she had told herself during the descent. The scans had been clear. No military installations, no functioning governments, no organized resistance. She had been looking for soldiers. Jake emerged carrying 2 unconscious humans, one under each arm. He set them down gently, then turned to face her fully for the first time. "You're from the Council," he said. "Not a question. Yes. Tell them we're not done yet." Sarah's ship reported critical hull stress before she could respond. The storm intensified. Wind speeds hit 200 kilometers per hour. She watched Jake's team move faster, not slower. They carried equipment through conditions that would ground every atmospheric craft in the Council fleet. "Your people need immediate evacuation," she said, raising her voice over the howling wind. "I can transport 30 to my carrier in orbit." Jake didn't stop working. He was welding a support beam with a handheld plasma torch, sparks cascading across his arms. "Appreciated. But we've got 400 people in the shelters 2 clicks east. They come first." 400? Sarah's translator glitched. The number couldn't be right. The orbital scans showed no life signs in this region. "We live underground now. Scans don't penetrate the lead-lined caverns." He finished the weld and moved to the next beam. "Besides, your sensors are calibrated for normal worlds. Earth doesn't register as normal anymore." A woman approached through the deluge. She was smaller than Jake, but moved with the same impossible efficiency. Burns covered her left arm. She ignored them. "Jake, the eastern tunnel collapsed. We need demo charges to clear it." "Katie, this is Sarah. She's Council." Jake gestured without looking up. "Sarah. Katie runs our engineering corps." Katie sized up the alien with a glance that made Sarah feel like a specimen under analysis. "Council. You here to help or document our extinction?" I was sent to confirm that Earth is uninhabitable. Well, you're half right. It's definitely not habitable by Council standards. Katie pulled a data tablet from her jacket. The device was held together with wire and sealant. But we've adapted. 17 settlements operational. 32,000 survivors total. We're rebuilding the agricultural domes next month. Sarah's training at the Galactic Academy hadn't prepared her for this. Every xenobiology course taught the same principle. Deathworld species either evolved slowly over millions of years or died out. Rapid adaptation was theoretically impossible. The human genome couldn't have changed enough in 6 months to survive these conditions. Your biology shouldn't allow this, Sarah said. The radiation alone kills us slower than you'd think. Jake set down his torch. We rotate people through the deep shelters. 3 weeks on surface, 1 week underground for cellular recovery. We lose some, but we're still here. An explosion rocked the ground. Not distant this time. Close. Sarah's armor deployed automatically, energy shields snapping into place. Jake and Katie barely flinched. Aftershock, Katie explained. Tectonic plates are still settling from the Krill bombardment. We get a few dozen daily. A few dozen? Sarah felt her respiratory system struggling. The air wasn't just toxic. It was actively hostile. Each breath burned. How do you function? Jake finally met her eyes directly. Same way we functioned when the Krall fleet showed up. Same way we functioned when they said Earth would fall in 3 days. We don't know how to quit. 3 more humans emerged from the wreckage carrying salvaged equipment. One had a leg twisted at an unnatural angle. He still carried his share of the load. They deposited generators at the medical station and headed back for more. That man needs a surgeon, Sarah protested. Field medic splinted it. He'll get proper treatment tonight. Katie checked her tablet. Right now we need those generators operational before the backup batteries die. 20 patients on life support. Sarah activated her comm link. This is Science Officer Sarah to Carrier Luminous Dawn. Requesting immediate medical team deployment. Coordinates attached. She tried again. Nothing. Jake pointed skyward. Ionization from the storms. Communications are spotty. You'll get through in about 40 minutes when the pattern shifts. How do you know the pattern? We track it. Had to learn fast. He picked up a crate of medical supplies. Katie, show our guest the command center. Maybe she can help with the tunnel situation. Katie nodded and started walking. Sarah hesitated, then followed. Her environmental suit registered increasing danger with every step. Temperature climbing. Radiation spiking. Atmospheric toxins at lethal concentrations. Katie noticed her readings. First time on a death world? Earth wasn't classified as a death world before the invasion. Circumstances change. Katie led her toward a reinforced bunker half buried in rubble. We prefer the term resilience world now. The command center was carved into bedrock 30 meters below the surface. Sarah's environmental suit finally stopped screaming warnings. The temperature dropped to something merely unbearable, instead of instantly fatal. Screens covered every wall, displaying data streams that would overwhelm a council military installation. Katie moved between stations with practiced ease, her burned arm forgotten. A dozen humans worked in silence, their focus absolute. This is our nerve center, Katie said. We coordinate 17 settlements from here. Food distribution, medical resources, defense perimeters, geological surveys, everything. Sarah studied the displays. The technology was primitive by council standards, cobbled together from salvaged equipment and improvised components, but the organizational efficiency was remarkable. Who designed this system? We did. Jake handled the structural engineering. I wrote the coordination protocols. Ethan over there manages the seismic prediction algorithms. Katie pointed to a young man whose hands danced across 3 keyboards simultaneously. We've got former teachers running logistics, accountants managing supply chains, a concert pianist who now programs our defense grids. Defense against what? The Krill withdrew. Katie's expression hardened. Earth didn't just attract the Krill. After the bombardment, we started picking up signals from other species. Scavengers, pirates, groups that think a devastated world is easy pickings. She pulled up a tactical display. Red markers dotted the map. 3 attempted landings last month. Small craft. Salvage operations looking for Council technology or cryo weapons. We convinced them to leave. Convinced them how? Humans are very persuasive when defending their home. Especially humans who've survived an extinction event. An alarm blared. Ethan spoke without looking up. Seismic event in 40 seconds. Magnitude 7.3. Eastern quadrant. The room exploded into coordinated chaos. Orders were shouted. Data was transferred. People moved to emergency stations. Sarah counted the seconds. 38, 39, 40. The bunker shook. Support beams groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling. Equipment rattled, but nothing fell. The humans rode out the earthquake like sailors in a storm, adjusting their stance but never stopping their work. 70 seconds later, it ended. Damage report, Katie called. Eastern tunnel fully collapsed. Medical dome lost structural integrity. Greenhouse 3 has flooding. Ethan's fingers never stopped moving. Redirecting patients to medical dome 2. Deploying repair teams to greenhouse. Eastern tunnel is a total loss. Katie cursed softly. That tunnel was our primary route to the water purification plant. We have secondary access through the northern passage, another operator said, which adds 6 hours to the water run. Katie pulled up schematics. We need that eastern route clear by tomorrow or we'll fall behind on distribution schedules. Sarah watched the problem unfold across the tactical displays. The collapsed tunnel was buried under thousands of tons of rock. Council engineers would classify it as unsalvageable and construct a new route over several months. I can help, Sarah heard herself say. Katie turned. How? My ship has industrial mining lasers, designed for asteroid excavation. We could cut through that collapse in 3 hours. Your ship barely survived atmospheric entry. The next storm hits in 90 minutes. Then we work fast. Sarah activated her comm. The ionization had cleared. Luminous Dawn, this is Sarah. Prepare mining package for immediate deployment. Authorization code Delta 79. Her ship's AI responded immediately. Mining package deployment will violate Council protocols for contact with pre-integration species. Confirmation required. Confirmed. These people are dying. Deploy now. Katie studied her with new interest. You'll face consequences for that. Probably. Sarah pulled up the tunnel specifications on her wrist display. But I was sent here to confirm whether humans were extinct. If I help keep you alive, I'm just being thorough in my research. A flash of respect crossed Katie's face. All right. Ethan, coordinate with her ship's systems. Let's clear that tunnel. Jake's voice crackled over the bunker's comm system. Command, we've got incoming. Fast movers. 3 contacts. Unknown configuration. Katie's hands flew across her console. External cameras showed 3 sleek vessels descending through the cloud cover. Not Council design. Not Krill either. The ships were angular, predatory. Marauders, Katie said. Thought we might see them. They'd been raiding abandoned colonies in this sector. Sarah recognized the design. Wrath pirates. Brutal. Efficient. Completely without mercy. They would see Earth's devastation as opportunity. You need to evacuate. Wrath don't take prisoners. Neither do we. Katie opened a channel. All stations. Code black. Defense grid active. Jake, get your people to shelter. Negative, Jake responded. We've still got 2 people trapped in this wreckage. I'm not leaving them. The Wrath ships split formation. 1 headed toward the command bunker. 2 angled toward Jake's position. Sarah felt ice in her chest. The Wrath would strafe the area with plasma cannons. Standard pirate tactics. Maximum destruction. Minimum risk. Katie armed something on her console. Let's show them why Earth is still occupied. The first Wrath ship opened fire. Plasma bolts carved through the storm, superheating rain into steam. The shots were precise, calculated to devastate the medical station and everyone near it. They never landed. Sarah watched in disbelief as concealed turrets erupted from the rubble. Magnetic accelerators, crude but devastatingly effective, hurled projectiles at hypersonic speeds. The Wrath pilot tried to evade. Too slow. Tungsten penetrators punched through his shields like they weren't there. The ship spun, trailing fire. It crashed 3 kilometers away. "Target down," Ethan reported calmly, remaining 2 adjusting attack vectors. Katie spoke into the comm. "Jake, you've got incoming. 30 seconds. We're almost through." Sarah accessed the external feeds. Jake was still digging, still pulling at twisted metal. The 2 Reth ships dove toward him, weapons charging. He had to see them, had to know. But he didn't run. "He's going to die," Sarah whispered. "Watch," Katie said. The Reth ships fired simultaneously. Plasma streams converged on Jake's position. Then the ground opened up. Massive panels slid aside, revealing reinforced bunkers. Anti-aircraft batteries rose from hidden silos. The plasma bolts hit deflector arrays that shouldn't exist on a primitive world, and Jake's people fired back. Not with desperate cobbled weapons, with military-grade rail cannons, with missile batteries, with directed energy weapons salvaged from the krill wrecks and rebuilt by human hands. The sky became a light show of destruction. One Reth ship took a direct hit to its main reactor. The explosion lit the storm clouds from within. The second pilot showed more skill, weaving through the counterfire. He launched a spread of smart missiles. "Countermeasures," Katie ordered. Chaff bloomed across the battlefield. Electronic warfare systems that Sarah recognized from Council carrier groups scrambled the missile's guidance. Half detonated harmlessly. The rest were picked off by point defense lasers. The surviving Reth pilot broke off his attack run. Sarah could almost feel his confusion. This was supposed to be a broken world, easy prey. Instead, he'd flown into a coordinated defense network that rivaled military installations on core worlds. He tried to escape to orbit. More turrets tracked his ascent. Katie let him get clear of the atmosphere before she gave the order. Fire! A lance of coherent light reached up from the planet's surface. Sarah's sensors identified it instantly. Particle beam cannon. Experimental technology that even the Council hadn't perfected. It required massive power generation and precision targeting systems. The Reth ship vanished in a flash of vaporized metal. Silence fell over the command center. Then Ethan spoke. "All hostiles eliminated. No friendly casualties. Damage assessment underway." Katie turned to Sarah. "Still think we need evacuation?" Sarah couldn't form words. The tactical data didn't make sense. Humans had been fighting for survival 6 months ago. Now, they had weapon systems that could challenge pirate fleets. How? The Krill left a lot of equipment behind when we drove them off. Katie pulled up inventory lists. We salvaged what we could, modified what we couldn't, built what we needed from scratch. Turns out, when you're facing extinction, you learn fast. Jake's voice came through the comm. "Command, we got them both out. They're alive. Medical team is on it." Katie smiled. "Good work. Head to shelter before the next storm cell hits." "Negative. We've got structural repairs to finish. Storm can wait." "Jake, I said the storm can wait, Katie. We've survived worse." Sarah pulled up meteorological data. The next cell was Category 5 equivalent. Winds at 300 kilometers per hour. Lightning strikes at 10 times normal frequency. That storm will kill exposed personnel in minutes. Then we'll work fast. Jake's tone left no room for argument. "Morrison out." Katie shook her head but didn't push. She turned back to Sarah. "You were saying something about your mining lasers?" Sarah struggled to recalibrate everything she thought she knew. "You just destroyed 3 Reth combat vessels. Your defensive capabilities exceed most Council member worlds. Why do you need help with a collapsed tunnel?" "Because fighting isn't living." Katie gestured to the displays showing settlements across the globe. "We can defend ourselves. We proved that today and during the Creel invasion. But defense doesn't grow food, doesn't purify water, doesn't give people hope." She pulled up images of the settlements, humans working in agricultural domes, children in underground schools, scientists in laboratories. We're not just surviving anymore. We're rebuilding, and that's harder than war. Sarah understood then. The weapons, the defenses, the tactical systems, those were tools of necessity, but the real fight was against the planet itself. against starvation, disease, environmental collapse, against despair. My mining lasers will clear that tunnel in 3 hours, Sarah said, but I can do more. My ship has agricultural packages, medical supplies designed for radiation treatment, atmospheric processors. At what cost? Katie's eyes narrowed. The council doesn't give charity. No cost. Consider it data collection. I'm supposed to be studying Earth's habitability. I can't do that if the population dies before I finish my research. Katie studied her for a long moment. Then she extended her hand. Welcome to Earth, Sarah. Try not to die while you're here. Sarah clasped the offered hand. Katie's grip was firm, calloused, strong. The grip of someone who had rebuilt a world with her bare hands. Outside, thunder rolled. The storm intensified, and humans kept working. Sarah's mining lasers cut through solid rock like it was vapor. The work went faster than projected, 2 hours instead of 3. Katie's engineers coordinated with her ship's AI, optimizing each beam angle, each cutting pattern. They worked together like they'd been doing it for years. Jake met them when the tunnel reopened. Dirt covered him head to toe. His face was lined with exhaustion, but his eyes were clear. Water's flowing again, he said. Good work. Sarah wanted to say something about the ref attack, about the weapon systems, about everything that didn't make sense. Instead, she asked, when do you sleep? When the work's done? He grabbed a support beam and started hauling it into position. 3 other humans joined him. They moved in synchronized rhythm, no words needed. The work is never done, Sarah observed. Then I guess I don't sleep much. Jake secured the beam and turned to face her fully. Katie said you're offering supplies. What's the catch? No catch. I want to understand how you're doing this. Doing what? Surviving? Thriving. Sarah pulled up data on her wrist display. Your settlements show population growth. Your agricultural output increased 20% last month. You're not just holding on. You're expanding. Jake wiped sweat from his face. Humans are stubborn. Tell us we can't do something, we'll break ourselves proving you wrong. It's more than stubbornness. Your species is adapting at rates that violate every biological model in council databases. Maybe your models are incomplete. He gestured around at the settlement. You see a death world. We see home. That changes how you approach problems. A runner approached young, maybe 16. Jake, we've got power fluctuations in Dome 7. Martinez thinks it's the fusion core. Tell Martinez I'm on my way. Jake started walking. He paused and looked back at Sarah. You want to understand us? Come see what we're building. Sarah followed. They descended deeper into the bunker complex, through corridors lined with hydroponic gardens and living quarters. Children played in common areas. Their laughter echoed off metal walls. They looked healthy, happy even. You have children here, Sarah said. In the middle of a catastrophe. Life doesn't stop for catastrophe. Kids are born. People fall in love. We celebrate birthdays and mourn losses. Jake waved to a group of teenagers working on electrical systems. They waved back. If we only focused on survival, we'd forget what we're surviving for. They reached Dome 7. The fusion reactor hummed with barely contained power. Martinez, a woman in her 50s with grease-stained hands, was elbow-deep in the containment assembly. Plasma flow is unstable, she explained without preamble. Magnetic bottles are degrading faster than projected. We need replacement parts we don't have. Sarah scanned the reactor. It was Krill technology, heavily modified. Humans had taken a military power system and converted it for civilian use. The engineering was brilliant but improvised. This reactor shouldn't work at all. You've bypassed half the safety systems. Safety systems were designed for Krill physiology. We needed more output. Martinez pulled a burnt component from the assembly. This thing powers medical equipment, water purification, life support for 800 people. We make it work, or people die. My ship has industrial fabricators, Sarah said. Send me the specifications. I can manufacture replacement parts. Martinez looked at Jake. He nodded. She pulled up schematics on a battered tablet. Here, but these materials don't exist in your standard catalogs. Sarah studied the designs. Martinez was right. The alloys were custom. developed specifically for Earth's extreme conditions. I'll need samples to calibrate the fabricators. Done. Martinez handed her a box of failed components. How long? 6 hours for the full set? Make it 4. We're on backup power and it won't last past dawn. Sarah transmitted the specifications to her ship. The AI immediately flagged violations of Council manufacturing protocols. She overrode them all. 4 hours. You have my word. Martinez smiled. It was the first genuine smile Sarah had seen from any human. You're all right for an alien. An alert sounded. Not an alarm, something different. Musical, almost. Jake checked his comm device. His expression softened. What is it? Sarah asked. Birth announcement. Settlement 6. Healthy girl. Mother and daughter both fine. Around them, people stopped working. They smiled. Some cheered. The news spread through the bunker in seconds. Sarah watched humans pause their desperate fight for survival to celebrate new life. Her name's Hope, Jake said, reading from his comm. Fitting. You stop working to acknowledge every birth, every birthday, every wedding, every achievement worth celebrating. Jake turned back to the reactor. Otherwise, what's the point? Sarah thought about the council words. Sterile, efficient, comfortable, safe. Births were logged and processed. Children were educated in optimal facilities. Life proceeded in predictable patterns. Nobody stopped working to cheer. Your people are remarkable, Sarah said quietly. Our people are desperate. Jake's tone was matter-of-fact. Desperation makes you creative, makes you appreciate what you have, makes you fight for things that matter. He led her to an observation deck overlooking the main settlement. Through reinforced windows, Sarah saw humans working in impossible conditions, building, planting, repairing, creating. There are no men left on this planet, Sarah had told herself during descent. She'd meant soldiers, warriors, military forces. She'd been looking at the wrong definition of strength. 4 months later, Sarah stood before the Galactic Council. Her report floated on holographic displays around the chamber. Data streamed across dozens of screens. Population figures, agricultural output, technological advancement rates, atmospheric recovery projections. The council members looked uncomfortable. Your recommendations are unprecedented, the Archon said. His species had never faced true hardship. His world was paradise incarnate. You want us to grant full membership to a species that nearly went extinct. I want you to grant membership to a species that refused to go extinct. Sarah highlighted Earth's defensive capabilities. They've repelled 4 more pirate raids since my initial visit. 0 casualties. Their weapons development has accelerated. In another year, they'll have combat capabilities that rival our own. That is precisely the concern, another council member interjected. They are aggressive, violent, dangerous. They are survivors. Sarah changed the display to show settlements spreading across Earth's recovering continents. They've increased their population by 12%, restored 30% of their agricultural capacity. They're terraforming their own planet back to habitability, while defending it from external threats. They should have evacuated, the Archon said, accepted resettlement on Council worlds. Instead, they chose to remain on a death world out of pride. Not pride. Love. Sarah thought about Jake working through storms, Katie coordinating impossible logistics, Martinez keeping reactors running on hope and ingenuity. They stayed because Earth is their home, because leaving would mean surrender. And humans don't surrender. She pulled up her final recommendation. I propose immediate council membership, full technology exchange, defensive pact, and I volunteer to serve as permanent liaison. The chamber erupted in debate. Arguments flew. Some council members called her insane. Others questioned her judgment. A few wondered if humans had somehow compromised her thinking. The Archon raised his hand for silence. You would give up your position at the Academy, your research grants, your career. For these humans? Yes. Why? Sarah thought about her answer carefully. Because in 4 months on Earth, I learned more about survival, adaptation, and resilience than in 20 years at the Academy. Because humans are building something extraordinary from absolute devastation. Because they represent what the Council has forgotten, which is that comfort makes you weak, safety makes you stagnant, and sometimes the hardest worlds produce the strongest people. The vote took 3 hours. It passed by the narrowest margin in Council history. Earth was granted provisional membership. Technology exchanges were authorized. Defensive pacts were established. Sarah transmitted the news immediately. Katie's response came back within minutes. Tell the Council we appreciate the recognition, but we're not joining to be protected. We're joining as equals. If they need help, we'll be there. Typical human confidence. Sarah smiled. 6 months after that, the Vryn Collective invaded Council space. 3 core worlds fell in the first week. Council defense forces were overwhelmed. The most advanced military in the galaxy was retreating on all fronts. Earth's response was immediate. Jake led the relief fleet personally. 50 ships, all human-crewed, all equipped with weapons that made Council admirals nervous. They hit the Vryn forces like a hammer. The battle lasted 4 days. Humans fought with a ferocity that terrified both sides. They didn't retreat, didn't negotiate, didn't accept anything less than total victory. When it ended, the Vryn had withdrawn. 3 core worlds were liberated, and the Council finally understood what Sarah had been trying to tell them. Humans weren't just survivors. They were warriors who had been forged in the fires of extinction and emerged stronger. The Archon sent a message to Jake after the battle. Your people saved millions of lives. The Council is in your debt. Jake's response was characteristically brief. No debt. Just allies helping allies. That's what equals do. Sarah watched from Earth's command center as human ships returned home. They'd taken casualties, lost vessels, but they'd won. And more importantly, they'd proven something the Council had needed to see. Katie joined her at the observation window. Think they'll stop underestimating us now? Probably not, but they'll think twice before dismissing us. Good enough. Katie pulled up construction schedules. We've got expansion projects on 6 continents, new settlements, agricultural domes. The atmospheric processors are working better than projected. In another decade, Earth might actually be habitable by Council standards. Will you keep the defenses active? Forever. Katie's expression hardened. We learned our lesson. Peace is maintained through strength, and humans are very good at being strong. Sarah looked out at Earth. The storms were gentler now. The sky showed hints of blue between gray clouds. Humans worked across the surface, no longer just surviving, but truly living. There are no men left on this planet, she had whispered during her first ascent. She'd been wrong. There were no men left who would accept defeat. No men left who would abandon their home. No men left who knew how to quit. There were only humans. Stubborn, relentless, impossible humans who looked at extinction and decided to build a future instead. And the galaxy